If you ask any collector, what is their dream to own? 9 out of 10 collectors will say, I dream I could someday own a Brew. Made by Leon Casimir Brew. Just the Bebes are absolutely extraordinary. They have this wonderful combination of almost a sensuous look and a very gentle, childlike look. And it's a wonderful combination, beautiful sculpting. Here we have a superb example of one from the golden age of the Brew with wonderful bisque hands, which are so desirable to find in the Brew. You know, when the Bebe market came along in the late 1870s, everyone went to the composition ball-jointed body, the little plump child body. But Brew was, I don't know if he was stubborn or if he was a perfectionist or what he is, but he put his foot down and he said, that's it, I'm staying. I've been making kid-body poupées and I'm making kid-body Bebes. And he stuck with that, well, right up until the 1890s. And they're very, very desirable because you want to have these wonderful little bisque hands they come on. And here is one in her original costume, which is in gorgeous condition, including the little signed, not signed Brew, it's a different kind of signature, but definitely the original Brew shoes you find on her, and a superb early bonnet. But wait. In case you can't afford a Brew or you're waiting for your ship to come in, you could have a Sonberg Brew. And here she is, the lookalike Sonberg Brew. I mean, you really realize that they had to be almost, this was not accidental. It was a very, very deliberate type of competitive warfare between the Sonberg makers and the French makers. And this is a wonderful Sonberg doll. This one was made by the Kunlunds company. They actually did sign their works. And it looks exactly like her little French cousin. We have another extraordinary example by Leon Casimir Brew. This would be one of his very, very earliest Bebes. And collectors refer to it as the circle dot because of the impressed mark at the back of the head of a circle with a little dot in the middle. Why would he have made a mark like that? Well, very simply, it was a method of showing his workers how to handle a doll, because the same model was also used for his Bebe Têteur, or nursing Brew. And there was a metal screw at the back of the head to make the nursing mechanism work. And this was to show the workers, here's where you put the metal screw. The best examples of this circle dot model are the ones that were not the Bebe Têteur, but they have the closed mouth and just absolutely dramatic and gorgeous look. And I just kind of want to pull her hair back a little and turn her so you can see this doll from her profile. And you can also, while we're doing it, you can look at her costume as it comes around, because she's very, very extraordinary, very special. And you see what I mean when I say that the larger models allow this very deep and voluptuous modeling to really have full effect. Very, very subtle, blushing, and wonderful. But wait, in case you couldn't afford this, then or now, perhaps you could afford her Sonberg look-alike cousin. And here's a small example of a doll made in Sonberg, and it's known as the look-alike circle dot Brew, because that is exactly what it was made to copy. And wonderful costume she has as well, just a super, super doll all the way around. I think it's a wonderful part of doll history. I love it so much because I think competition is healthy and wonderful, and I think it was really good. But what I love is that I think both dolls are superb in their own way, and it gives collectors a wonderful chance to find a field where they can really make their mark in what they're collecting. And Gail Nichols certainly did when she collected her Sonberg dolls. Now, many of you know that I have talked about the Brew wooden-bodied model for their poupée, and in one of my previous videos I actually showed you an example. And I pointed out to you that the Brew wooden body poupée was copied from the artist mannequin that had been made in Europe for well over 100 years. I recently discovered this doll that I think is an absolute find. I think it's a one-of-a-kind treasure and really, really unique. And this is a child wooden mannequin. Dowel articulation, pin and dowel articulation everywhere. Wonderful sculpting. I mean, the hair and the eyes, how deep. I'm going to turn the head so you can see. Has great pivoting possibilities. But what is more interesting to me than this, which is a work of art as far as I'm concerned, is I have here a copy of Brew's Bebe Model wooden body, and it is the very same body that this mannequin has. So clearly Brew not only copied the artist mannequin for his wooden-bodied poupée, but he had access to a child mannequin body, or child mannequin wooden body, and he made his Bebe Model body based upon that. A great discovery, I think, for those collectors who are looking for, I want something really different, I want something fabulous. This is important historically, and even more than that, to me it's a great work of art. Now, sometimes a collector will say to me, well, I have a Steiner doll, and I'll say, oh, well, which Steiner doll do you have? Oh, what do you mean? I say, come on, there are so many models, there are so many styles, sizes, different complexions, so much variety in how the Steiners were made. So I wanted to just show you here. And there are the series Steiners and the figure Steiners, and come in original costumes and made for a long period of time. For almost 20 years the Steiners were made. And here we have, just for you to look at, and the camera will keep sweeping them, a wonderful, wonderful collection of various Steiner Bebes. Sometimes they were made with paperweight eyes. Sometimes they were made with lever eyes that operated from a little wire lever at the back of the head. And on those Steiner eyes that are sleeping, by the way, I don't know if you knew this, but those eyes are actually signed J. Steiner, very, very particularly made for his company. This is a wonderful, wonderful group of the Steiner Bebes for you to see. One of the most sought-after French doll makers was Monsieur Schmidt. His dolls are under the firm name of Schmidt Aine, and they are usually marked with an SCH and a shield on the back of the head. Now, many collectors think there's only one Schmidt. There weren't different models. They're not model numbers you look for, like with the German dolls. But indeed, I have here 5 Schmidt dolls that are in the catalog, the Empress and the Child, and I defy anyone to say that these dolls look alike. Every one of them has a distinctly different look. The taller one is the model that we refer to as the pear-faced model. And I want to turn it to the side so you can see her profile. It's just absolutely wonderful, that really elegant little nose she has upturned at the front. She's a very, very beautiful example of the pear-faced girl. And then we have 2 early examples right here that have a very, very, they're marked with BTE, and they have a flat cut neck. They don't have the light bulb neck socket that fits down into the composition doll, but they have a flat cut neck. And then their composition torso has a dowel coming up that the head rests on, a different, almost like a reverse form of stringing or joining of the doll. So those are 2 different models. This is a little round-faced Schmidt in a very, very tiny size. And oh, someone asked me recently, and I wanted to talk about this. They said, well, I have my Schmidt doll that came, but it has a pink plaster pate. It doesn't have a cork pate. Actually, the Schmidts originally came with a fitted pate or cap underneath the wig that was made of a pink plaster material. And when you do find that, that's pretty rare and original and so hard to find, and guard it carefully. And then we have another Schmidt here that is wonderful because, to me, she doesn't look like the other Schmidts at all. She has a very, very almost unusual look that looks like the Bebe Mother-O, or the Bebe that was made by Petit and Dumoutier. Very different look, but she's marked Schmidt, marked with the SCH shield. Very, very beautiful group here. Anyone who thinks that French Bebes all look alike, they're very, very dramatic, they need to look more closely, because there is a wide spectrum of what you'll find, from the very, very dreamy, sweet-faced Bebe to very, well, dramatic, wide-eyed, excited kind of looks. And many, many makers. As time has gone on, we've identified and found more makers that we didn't know before, and each has a particular look. Over here in the little red hat is a wonderful doll by Joseph Joani, who was not known until recently. And there's a whole story about him in the French Encyclopedia by Francois and Danielle Timer. A must-have book if you don't have it and you like French dolls. wearing her original costume. The Joanis have a very, very distinctive look, that square-jawed type of look, but gorgeous, deep eyes all the time. Very, very precious look, and extremely rare dolls because they were made for a very, very short period of time. Another French maker, Henri Delqua, really kind of a mystery sort of person, came in sort of at the end of the French bebe making period in the late 1880s, early 1890s, made some dolls that were marked. For example, he made the doll marked Pan, he made a doll marked SL, but not too much is known about him. This doll is almost exactly the same as his doll that's marked Pan, which is considered one of the rarest French dolls. She has very, very beautiful, large, expressive brown eyes, very difficult to find. And then on this side, our friend, Mr. Gautier. Now, Mr. Gautier, such a pivotal person in doll history. If it wasn't for Émile Jumeau, this man and this firm that were then taken over by his sons would have much more attention in the doll field because he did extraordinary work. He was one of the first people to have his own porcelain firm designed for the making of dolls. Previous to that, doll heads and the bisque parts for dolls were being bought from other porcelain firms, but he organized his own porcelain firm prior to Jumeau doing that. And he did not only poupées, we saw the Asian lady a little while ago, but then he moved on into doing wonderful bébés like this is the look that everyone seeks in a Gautier bébé, and that's the one with the kid body, very distinctive kid body, and again, the beautiful bisque hands, just like were being made for the Brew bébé. These are the only two companies. Well, Tullier did a kid body also, excuse me. But deep paperweight eyes, very, very soft and delicate bisque complexion. So 3 more examples by other doll makers that in your French collection you might say, put these on your I want list, I dream for list, because they are all just super, super dolls. I want to show you her wonderful bonnet at the back. When I write my description sometimes, I save the word splendid eyes for those dolls that really deserve it, and she deserves it. Splendid eyes on her. So I've saved this wonderful mystery doll toward the very end because I want to kind of share a little bit of her story with you. First of all, I want to tell you, pick up this doll, and the first thing that would come to your mind is, well, you'd be lucky if you don't run her over your shoulders because this doll is so light. The body is so delicately made. One of the very, very unusual things about the doll, which is extraordinary. Next, please look at her face. Very, very different kind of face. Your first glance, you look at it and you tend to think, and I have kind of strong feelings this way, that it is a very, very early model by Jules Steiner. And this is possibly one of the makers, but she definitely is a mystery doll. And I'm going to turn her around so you can see her. And then I'm going to show you her very unusual head construction. See from the side. There's no pate at the top of the head, no cut pate. The pate is at the exact back of the head. And then if you look inside the head, you'll see where the stringing comes down from 2 holes at the top of the head, and the actual original stringing is still there. And try to show you the top of the head so you can see that as well. For those collectors who are looking for a mystery, for a very rare doll, for something other people will not have, that you can research and have wonderful, wonderful fun owning and researching, have a beautiful doll in your possession, but at the same time have something that could be the rarest of the rare, this is a wonderful example to have. Possibly Jules Steiner, possibly Brûlé Cachelieu. In our catalog, we go on and we tell the different reasons why each might be considered as one of the possible reasons to designate that as being the maker. But she does remain a mystery, and a beautiful mystery at that. Now, when I told you I was going to share French Bebes with you today, I sort of lied, but I don't care. I have to bring in a couple other things that are sort of my favorite, some of my favorites in the auction that I think are just so special in so many ways. And the first one is this wonderful and rare Simon and Halbig character model. He was made for the French market. Simon and Halbig did a lot of their dolls toward the end of the 19th century under commission for the French market, and he has his very distinctive original French body. But what is different about him, other than that great face, original painting, original tricolor wig, and original silk costume, is he separates at the torso, because this guy was a candy container. Now, is that just too great to be true? Can you imagine someone coming in and bringing you a box of candies, and it's actually this wonderful doll? And then, clearly, they took the candies out quickly because it's just mint in every way, and then saved it as a decorative item. Very rare doll. And look at the size. Look at how large that is. I have seen others, and they're only ever this size. Wonderful, wonderful rare doll. And then this one, because everyone knows how I love original costumes. We have this wonderful little painted eye Kestner, which is a rare character in itself, but he has a costume that I think is just extraordinary, highlighted by a little wedding costume, by the way, highlighted by his black velvet vest with the floral embroidery, and then his matching coat with his little wedding bouquet on the collar. I want to conclude our little visit today by letting you enjoy one of the wonderful automatons that we'll be showing in the Empress and the Child catalog and at the auction. And I want you to have an opportunity to listen to the wonderful music and to watch the actions of this great piece. This was called Robert and Savant Cochon, excuse my French accent, but Bob and his learned pig. And Bob the clown is sitting on the back of his ladder-back chair made by Vichi, and he's balancing a ladder between his legs. On the top of the ladder is this papier-mâché clown with the most wonderful expression on his face, his delighted expression. And Bob is teaching his pig how to perform acrobats on the ladder. Bob opens and closes his eyes. He moves his lips as though he's instructing the pig. He holds his hands so when the ladder appears to topple. He taps his leg and then lifts his leg. And the clown, look, he's appearing to fall over. Now he's doing an acrobatic trip. And in a minute, he will raise himself on one leg to balance on only one leg. And then he will turn and look Bob right in the face. And Bob does not trust him. He's ready to catch him because he thinks he can't do it. But he does. He makes it. Bob is heaving his shoulders the whole time. He's so nervous. He made it. He goes back. And the piglet's little ears winkle back and forth in delight at his having performed this wonderful operation. And it performs over and over again as long as you want it to. It's an absolutely extraordinary work with numerous movements and fabulous quality music and original presentation. Thank you for spending this time with me and with all of my many friends. I think some are beautiful, some are funny, some are just a joy to be with and to be around, and I hope that you enjoyed seeing them with me, and I certainly enjoyed sharing them with you. And I'll hope to see you at the auction.